Ronke and Max were married for 5 years and they were excited when Ronke discovered she was expecting their first child after 5 years. Mr. Max, her husband, was a man known for his charm and sweet words. But as Ronke's pregnancy progressed, Ronke found it hard to keep up with the household chores. She decided it was time to hire a maid to help with the work. After asking around, she hired a young woman named Aduni. Aduni was diligent, but she had a habit of gossiping around the neighborhood, which made Ronke uncomfortable. After a few months and several warnings, Ronke became tired of Aduni's behavior, and so she fired Aduni. However, Ronke kept looking for a maid to assist her with the household chores. That was when she employed Ekaite. Ekaite was a strong woman. She seemed perfect at first, but her carelessness led to a few broken plates and ruined meals. And to make it worse, she was too unkempt for Ronke's liking. Ronke, frustrated, decided to part ways with her too. It was then that she heard about Lulu. Lulu was an orphan who had lived most of her lives living with different families who cared to take her in. Though Lulu was young, she looked and behaved far more than her age. Life had dealt with her the hard way, which made Lulu behaved 10 times older than her real age. Lulu, known for her hardworking nature, when Ronke heard Lulu's story, she immediately knew that Lulu would be the best person for the job. So Ronke decided to take Lulu in as a new maid. When Lulu arrived at Ronke's home, she was quiet and respectful. She worked tirelessly, ensuring the house was spotless and meals were always ready. Ronke quickly grew fond of her, unlike the other maid she had hired. Lulu was patient, very attentive to instruction, and had a warm smile that made the house feel more welcoming. Lulu cared for Ronke throughout her pregnancy, making sure she had everything she needed. When Ronke gave birth to a healthy baby boy, Lulu celebrated alongside the family. She was one who loved children, especially because all her life she never experienced what having a sibling or family looked like. At night, when Ronke was fast asleep, Lulu would stay all night catering for the newborn baby, rocking him and singing him sweet lullaby until the baby would eventually fall asleep. Lulu never stopped for one day. She took care of Ronke's child passionately as if it were hers. Lulu took so much pride in her work. As the years passed, Lulu became more than just a maid. She was part of the household. 2 years later, Ronke was pregnant again. Lulu's care and dedication did not waver. She helped with the growing family, ensuring that everything ran smoothly. When the second child was born, a beautiful baby girl, Lulu's joy was evident. The children adored her, and Ronke was grateful to have someone like her take care of her children. But there was a side Lulu kept hidden. Max, Ronke's husband, he started to take notice of Lulu, not in a way a kind employer would, but with lingering looks and inappropriate comments. Lulu, uncomfortable but very afraid, could not speak up. She ignored his advances. She had no family to turn to and nowhere to go if she left the job. So most times, Lulu would wear big maxi gowns to conceal her figure to avoid Mr. Max taking note of her, nor her getting into trouble. But Max's behavior grew bolder with time. He started to make advances at Lulu one evening while Ronke was fast asleep. Max cornered Lulu in the kitchen. His voice was soft but menacing. You know, you owe everything to this family, don't you? He said, his hand brushing against her arm. You wouldn't want to lose your place here, do you? Lulu's heart raced. She wanted to run, to scream, but she knew the consequences. Thought of her being alone and homeless terrified her. Please, sir, she whispered, trembling. I am just here to walk, that's all. Mark's smile didn't reach his eyes. Good. I am glad you know that. You are here to work. That includes doing what I say. Let's keep it that way, he said as he left her presence. Lulu's once bright smile began to fade. She walked in silence, avoiding Max whenever she could, but he always found ways to corner her, to remind her of how helpless she was. His threat grew darker. If you tell Ronke, she will throw you out, he said one night. You think anyone else would hire someone like you? Lulu's fear kept her silent, even as the weight of her situation grew heavier. She clung to the children for comfort, finding solace in their laughter. Months passed, and Lulu's secret became harder to hide. She began to feel sick in the morning and noticed changes in her body. She realized with the dread that she was pregnant. Panic consumed her. She couldn't bring herself to tell Ronke, but she knew she couldn't hide it forever. She became very scared and planned on running away. But where was she going to run to? Tears filled her eyes, and each day, Max made sure her life was unbearable. One morning, Ronke found Lulu crying in the corner of the kitchen. Concerned, she asked what was wrong. Lulu tried to deflect, but Ronke persisted. Finally, through choked sobs, Lulu confessed, Madam, I, I, I am pregnant. Ronke stared at her, stunned. Who? You are pregnant? How come? Who impregnated you? She demanded all at once, very angry. Who is responsible? How come? Who impregnated you? She demanded all at once, very angry. Who is responsible? After much hesitation, Lulu revealed the truth. It's it's Mr. Max, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. He he threatened me. He raped me. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. Ronke's words shattered. Her husband, the man she trusted, anger and betrayal rushed through her veins. She confronted Max that evening. At first, he denied it, but when she pressed on, he admitted to his action. She didn't resist, he said coldly. What was I supposed to think? She seduced me and I fell for it. Ronke's fury knew no bound, but she also felt conflicted. Lulu's presence was now a reminder of Mark's betrayal. You cannot keep this baby, Ronke said firmly. I will not allow it. You can never have my husband's child, never. Lulu fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. Madam, please, I beg you. This child is innocent. I had no choice in what happened. I swear to you, he took advantage of me, she said, crying. Ronke struggled with her emotions. She felt betrayed, hurt, and unsure of what to do. The thought of losing her family's harmony weighed heavily on her, yet she couldn't bring herself to forgive Lulu, nor send her away also. She was afraid of confronting her husband because she felt it would ruin her marriage. But deep down, she knew that Lulu was innocent because she knew what her husband Max was capable of doing. Early the next morning, Ronke decided to take action. She ordered Lulu to accompany her somewhere. They drove miles. Lulu was unsure of what was going on. The air in the car was thick with silence. Lulu's tears falling silently, oblivious of her boss's plan. They got to a hospital and she stopped. Ronke explained the situation to the doctor, who obviously she had spoken to. The doctor looked at Lulu with a mix of pity and professional detachment. She must terminate this pregnancy, she said. Lulu's voice was shaky but resolute. Please, madam, don't make me do this. It's my child too. Ronke's anger fled. Your child? My husband's mistake? You owe this family your loyalty, Lulu. This cannot stand. The doctor, sensing the tension, asked to speak with Lulu privately. Despite her pleas, the procedure was scheduled. Ronke remained firm. her pride and sense of betrayal outweighing any pity she might have felt. When they returned home, Lulu resumed her duty with a heavy heart. Her once bright spirit was now a mere shadow of itself. She avoided Max as much as possible, but Max's behavior didn't change. He still found ways to corner her with threats and vile words that only made her feel worse. Ronke, oblivious of the continuous torment, focused on maintaining appearances. She still couldn't bring herself to forgive Lulu, though part of her began to question whether she had acted too harshly. Mark's advances persisted, his audacity growing bolder. He found Lulu one evening as she cleaned the room. "You think you can defy me?" he hissed, grabbing her arms. Lulu froze, tears streaming down her face as she tried to push him away. Her night became an endless loop of fear and sorrow. The children's laughter was her only solace, but even that couldn't erase the pain and the memories Max has caused her. Vonke started noticing the subtle changes in Lulu. Her loyalty was unwavering though, but her spirit was clearly broken. Guilt began to creep into Ronke's heart. Had she pushed Lulu too far? She hated Max for what he had done, but couldn't bring herself to confront him. One evening, as the children played in the courtyard, Lulu sat under a tree, tears streaming down her face. A neighbor, noticing her distress, approached cautiously. "Lulu, what's wrong?" the woman asked gently. Lulu hesitated but said nothing. She feared the consequences of revealing the truth. Yet, deep down, she longed for someone to save her from her plight. She sucked it all up, pretending all was well with her. Ronke's behavior towards Lulu grew colder with each passing day. Although Lulu remained diligent in her duties, Ronke found reasons to criticize her, whether it was the way she folded clothes or the seasoning in the stew. Nothing seemed to meet Ronke's expectations anymore. Despite her harshness, Ronke made the decision to allow Lulu to stay. She reasoned that Lulu's hardworking nature was too valuable to lose. "At least, she is good for something," Ronke muttered under her breath. But deep down, she knew the real reason: Mark's behavior. Though Ronke suspected he was still taking advantage of Lulu, she chose to turn a blind eye, telling herself it was a burden she didn't have the strength to confront. Lulu, meanwhile, was quickly making plans to escape. She had begun saving every penny she could, hiding her earnings in a small tin. Her dreams was to leave the household, find a place where she could start afresh, and finally live without fear and abuse. But her plans were threatened when she started feeling the familiar sign of pregnancy: morning sickness, fatigue, and a slight swelling in her belly. Lulu was terrified. The thought of what Ronke and Matt would do if they discovered the truth made her shiver in horror. She resolved to hide her condition for as long as she could. Max had seen her as a possession he owns and could have at any time, and Ronke could not save her from her monster husband. Ronke's sharp eyes didn't miss the subtle changes in Lulu's behavior. She noticed the way Lulu clutched her stomach when she thought no one was looking, or how she would sit down to catch her breath after a few minutes of walk. "Is something wrong with you?" Ronke asked one afternoon, her tone accusatory. Lulu shook her head quickly. "No, madam. I am just tired. I have been working hard." Ronke narrowed her eyes but said nothing. Instead, she began to watch Lulu more closely, determined to uncover the truth. Lulu's morning sickness grew worse. Each day became a battle to maintain her composure. She would wake up before dawn to clean, cook, care for the children, all while fighting nausea and dizziness. Fear of discovery kept her going, but her body was weakening. One evening, as she was clearing the dining table, Mask entered the kitchen. His presence made her skin crawl. You've been looking pale lately, he said, his tone mocking. Are you hiding something, Lulu? Lulu's hands trembled as she replied, I am just tired, sir. Max's smirk widened. Good. You better stay that way. I might just need you tonight. Nke's suspicion grew stronger. She began assigning Lulu more tasks, hoping to catch her sleeping. She's hiding something. I will find that soon enough, Ronke thought. One day, as Lulu bent over to scrub the floor, Ronke noticed the slight curve of her belly. Her heart sank, and fury rose within her. Could it be? Was Lulu pregnant again? She thought to herself. Unable to contain her anger, Ronke confronted Lulu that evening. Tell me the truth, she demanded. Are you pregnant? Lulu froze, her mind racing for an answer. No, no, madam, she said quickly. I am just gaining weight. Ronke's eyes narrowed. Don't lie to me, Lulu. I will find out soon. Ronke's suspicion and harshness grew, while Lulu struggled to maintain her secret. Max, sensing the intention, became more distant, but continued his predatory behavior when Ronke wasn't around. Lulu's savings grew slowly, but she feared she wouldn't have enough money to live before her pregnancy became more impossible to hide. Each passing day felt like a ticking time bomb. One night, as Lulu lay awake, she whispered a prayer. God, please help me. I can't do this alone. Give me the strength to survive this. Tears streamed down her face as she thought about her unborn child and the life she hoped to build if she's able to leave the house. But her savings were way too small to even dare to leave. One evening, Ronke decided that it was time she confirmed her suspicion. When she walked into the storeroom and saw Lulu clutching her stomach, her face pale and strange, she ordered Lulu to follow her. She gave Lulu a pregnancy test strip to do a test. Go now, Ronke ordered. Lulu took the pregnancy test strip, her hands trembling, even as her stomach churned. As she walked to go do the test under the watchful eyes of Ronke, Ronke didn't move an inch. She waited there until the result was out. So it is true, Ronke said angrily as she read the pregnancy test strip. Two lines positive, you are pregnant again. How dare you, you fool! Lulu fell to her knees, sobbing. Madam, please, please, I didn't want this to happen. I don't know what to do. Ronke's heart was a maze of anger. You should have thought about that before, she snapped. I won't let you ruin this family. It is impossible, never. Ronke's fury exploded. You dare bring this shame to my house again? She screamed. Lulu fell to her knees, begging for forgiveness. Madam, please, please, I didn't want this to happen. I will leave. Just let me have the baby, please. I will run away from here, far away from you guys. Ronke's voice was icy. You will not have my husband's child. Not now or ever. When Ronke confronted Max, his reaction was one of indifference. What do you expect me to do? He said. She's just a maid. Handle it however you want. I really don't care. Ronke's anger flared. You are the one who caused this, Max. You can't just wash your hands of it. But Max simply walked away, leaving Ronke to deal with the mess. Lulu realized she couldn't stay much longer. She began working even harder, hoping to earn Ronke's favor and buy herself more time. Her tin of savings grew fuller and her resolve to leave became stronger. And Ronke made sure to double her workload in the house to strain the pregnancy. Ronke began feeling conflicted. Part of her wanted to throw Lulu out, but another part couldn't ignore the girl's loyalty and hard work. She found herself watching Lulu more closely, wondering what her next move would be. One evening, as Lulu was keeping another small money inside the tin can, Ronke spotted her from a distance. Hey you, what are you hiding? Ronke shouted. So it is true that you have been stealing from me. Ah, madam, no, I am not stealing from you. It's the little money I have been saving for my stipends. Oh, really? You think I am a fool? You thief? Ronke grabbed the tin from her hands, collecting the money in it. This money is mine because I know you stole it from me. No, ma, please. I did not steal from you, Lulu pleaded. But Ronke's mind was already made up. She collected the money, leaving Lulu heartbroken. She had been making plans with that money, and now it was gone. Lulu felt so empty and sad. Max cornered Lulu in the hallway that night. If you think you can leave, think again, he hissed. You are nothing without us. We own you. Lulu's fear returned tenfold, but she refused to let him see her break. I am not just here to work, she stammered, avoiding his gaze. Exactly, and that includes servicing me whenever I need you, he said. Early the next morning, Ronke woke Lulu up and marched Lulu to the hospital. She spoke with the doctor in private, making her demands clear. I want this pregnancy terminated today. When Lulu heard the doctor's verdict, she fell apart. No, please, she cried. I will leave you. I will leave your house, ma. This town, I will leave your life. Just let me keep it. Please, I beg of you. She pleaded, tears flowing down her face freely, as the doctor performed an ultrasound to confirm the pregnancy. He hesitated. Madam, he said, addressing Ronke, she's carrying twin. Ronke's jaw tightened. What? I don't care. Do what I ask you to do. That is what I am paying you for. Lulu turned to Ronke, tears streaming down her face. Please, madam, these are innocent lives. Don't do this to me. I promise I will disappear. You will never see me again. But Ronke's resolve was unshaken. You can't have his children, she said, her voice like steel. And so the doctor terminated the 5 months twin pregnancy, leaving Lulu shattered, her spirit broken. To make matters worse, the job was done badly. The doctor called Ronke to his office. Ma, there is a problem. Oh. The procedure was complicated and her womb was badly affected. She would never be able to get pregnant or have her own children again. Really? How is that my business? That's her cross, not mine to bear. Ronke said, feeling an unconcerned and unremorseful about her actions. And Lulu had no idea of what had happened to her, but she knew she didn't feel the same again. She cried like she had never done before, begging God to take her life, as the pain was too much for her to bear. Ronke didn't wait long after they returned home. She packed Lulu's belongings into a small bag and threw them at her feet. Get out of my house, she commanded. Lulu, weak and heartbroken, begged for mercy. I have nowhere to go, she whispered. That's not my problem, Ronke snapped. Leave! Lulu walked the street like a woman who was insane. She spoke to herself, soliloquizing as people walked past her, wondering if she was insane. A woman, passing, but noticed Lulu's disheveled state. Are you all right, my dear? She asked gently. Lulu hesitated, but eventually shared her story. The woman, named Mama Ife, was a widow who ran a small food store. She offered Lulu a place to stay. It's not much, but it's safe, she said. Under Mama's Ife's care, Lulu began to heal. She helped at the food store in exchange for shelter and food. Though Lulu's heart still ached, she was grateful for the kindness she had been shown by Mama Ife. Meanwhile, Ronke couldn't shake a feeling of unease. She told herself she had done the right thing, but a small voice in her head whispered otherwise. What if Max finds her again? She thought. When Max discovered what had happened, he was furious. You had no right to throw her out, he shouted at Ronke. And you had no right to take advantage of her, Ronke shot back. This is your fault, Max. Don't forget that. Max's face darkened. Fault or not, you better bring her back. I am warning you. Ronke, if Lulu doesn't return, this marriage is over, he said to her. Ronke could not believe his audacity. She had done that to save her marriage, but Max, her husband, was hell-bent on disgracing the family and making her a laughingstock. Lulu and Mama Ife grew close. For the first time in years, Lulu felt a sense of belonging. Mama Ife was like a mother to her. She shared her dreams of starting a small business and building a life for herself. Lulu worked 10 times as hard, hoping to change the trajectory of her life. That was around the time Mama Ife's son, who had traveled abroad for years, returned. All the while, Mama Ife felt she had lost her only son because she did not hear from him for a long time. However, seeing his son after years only brought tears to her eyes. She had prayed, cried, hoping for a miracle, but it felt like God had abandoned her. Ife, what happened to you? She asked, with a lot of burning questions. Mother, it is a long story. I have been searching for you the moment I landed Nigeria. And I was told you relocated and now live here. Ife narrated how he was arrested and imprisoned for years for a crime he did not commit abroad. But when the case was later visited, he was discovered to be innocent. So he was released and compensated. Mother, I miss you so much, he said, tears streaming down his face. Meanwhile, Lulu sat there watching mother and son reunite. It was an emotional moment for both of them, but Lulu was grateful for how God came through for Mama Ife, whom she had come to love and take as her own mother. Mama Ife was far too kind. Mother, who is this beautiful lady here? He said, pointing to Lulu. Lulu blushed. Oh, her name is Lulu, she said. She lives with me here. And she's such a sweet soul, Mama Ife added. I know, right? She's so beautiful, Ife said as he smiled at Lulu. Lulu stared, feeling a bit uncomfortable. It was as though he ignited something in her, something deep, something she couldn't just explain. Hmm. What do you think is going to happen next? Do you think Ronke's action would have a damning consequence? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe to this channel if you're not already subscribed. Like this video please and share out this video to your loved ones. Expect a follow-up episode soon. For now, from me, it is bye.